Concerning the Kaaba, now you have the Ghassanids and the Lakhmids, that these buffer zones between the Byzantines and the the Sassanid Empire, and then you see Axum down there. That was a Christian kingdom. Um, Christianity in Arabia in the south through Ethiopia, Egyptian monk, the story of Nadran, and the Ethiopian helped have, in the north, the Ghassanid and the Lakhmid. The slaughter of Nadran was done by the Jews, but this is more important. Here's the Zoroastrian structure. For all intents and purposes, it's a Kaaba, all right? The Ghassanids, the Banu Judham, these were Christians in Arabia before the rise of Islam. Here we see the Banu Tamim. Nadran is down here. That's where the slaughter happened. But up here we have the Ghassanids and the Lakhmids. This depicts it better. Right? So you had a lot of strife. Now, there's a group here known as the Nabateans, right? And the Nabateans had a knack for carving things out of living rock. And the Sassanids also built these rectangular buildings, but not out of living rock. They constructed them. So in this environment where you had Alat, Manat, and Al-Uzza, a polytheistic society of the Lakhmids, which in its final kingdom converted to Christianity, and its headquarters was in Hira. You had the Ghassanids, which were Monophysite Christians. You had the Ethiopians, which were Monophysite Christians. And then there was Christians and Jews throughout here, as well as pagans. Right? Call back to the story of Abraham and Ishmael. Bethel means house of God. Also means built out of stone. Now the Nabateans, which is the northern Arab, had these things, Bedels, which were blocks of stone, which represented the gods of the Nabateans. The term Bedel derives from the Greek blah blah myth of Uranos, that's Uranus for English people, who created animated stones that fell from heaven. Remember the black stone? Bedels were commonly placed on altars or on platforms. Religious rituals were performed there. And frequently, bedels have been found in tombs. There are different types of bedels. Now, look, there's one carved in a block. Plain bedel, rectangular slab, block, stela. High rectangular slab with a rounded top, semicircular or hemispherical slab, dome-shaped spherical bedel, eye bedels, and face stellae. Eye bedels and face stellae are of interest to scholars. Largely understood as an Arabian anachronism. So we have the Nabateans crafting these things. It doesn't go into it, but they were made out of living rock. I could press this and go into the religions of pre-Islamic Arabia, but let's go more toward see, they're carving these things out of living rock. The Nabateans. I showed you the Zoroastrian square monuments. These are square monuments of their own, and if you look into the Nabateans, carving things out of living rock, especially square things, was a big deal. Now, there was also a group known as the Rahmanites, or the Rahmani, and that may be familiar to you because Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Rahman, the most merciful. These were people sometimes referred to as the Hanif. They believed Jesus and Moses were good men, but they didn't follow them. They followed Abraham, and they knew Abraham was their ancestor through Ishmael. And they would write inscriptions on living rock that they had hewn, like God is merciful. Their word for God, Allah. Because they only believed in one God, they stuck to monotheism. So the female Alat became Allah, just the generic word for God. Now the Kaaba, as I said before, was destroyed multiple times. The Karamatans stole the black stone for over 30 years, broke it into multiple pieces, used it for a toilet. And then in the 1600s, the entirety of the Kaaba was destroyed, and they took all the materials, scrapped it, and quarried new stone. Kaaba means cube. Now, another strange thing is, if you go into the practices of the people of the Sinai, they built buildings out of stone with one entrance facing east. But this is just a little insight into pre-Islamic religion. Now, tension between Christians and Jews, the massacre at Najran, at the hands of the Jews, the Lachmids and the Gassanids, and then you have the Rahmanites, as well as the Nabateans, and the Zoroastrians building these square houses. I mean, and these aren't the same buildings either. These are, different. This is and remember that the Persian Empire, the Sassanids, the Muslims took it over in like less than 20 years. And here's one that's carved out of living rock. These are older than the Kaaba in Mecca. This is just some food for thought. Alright? This is the religious landscape. The fire represents the Zoroastrians, the cross is the Christians, and the Star of David is the Jews. So where did the Kaaba come from? And I'll do a part 2 to this too.